Hello, readers. The entertainment world has been thrown into chaos once again. What began as a quiet scandal surrounding actor Menglong has now erupted into a full-blown boycott storm, shaking the entire industry. 17 artists, once household names with glittering careers, now find themselves at the center of controversy, facing public outrage, terminated contracts, and collapsing reputations. In this shocking case that has gripped millions, hidden truths, erased evidence, and powerful manipulations are starting to surface. This simply the downfall of one star, or the exposure of a much deeper network within the entertainment world? As the dust settles, one question echoes louder than ever. Who truly stands behind the fall of Menglong, and who will pay the price next? The entertainment industry has always thrived on illusion, the shimmer of fame, the perfect smiles under camera flashes, the endless stream of interviews where every word is polished, a gesture rehearsed. But beneath the surface lies a web of ambition, manipulation, and carefully concealed secrets. Late autumn. That delicate web began to unravel, with one name echoing through every newsroom, every social platform, every whispered conversation behind studio doors: Menglong. For years, Menglong had been the image of refinement, an actor with soulful eyes and the aura of tragic charm. He wasn't merely famous, he represented a new generation of artistry. Respected for his dedication, praised for his modesty. Until one night, that image shattered like glass. The first spark came from a post, a cryptic message uploaded and deleted within minutes. "The evidence is real," it read, followed by a string of screenshots and voice notes allegedly linking Menglong to a case of financial misconduct and personal manipulation involving his management team. It seemed minor at first, a rumor destined to fade in a few hours. But within a day, the story erupted into an inferno. When the morning shows opened the broadcasts with his name, social media was already in flames. Trending hashtags appeared like wildfire: Menglong scandal, boycott the corrupt, justice for the victims. It was multiplied by the minute. Some spoke of falsified contracts. Others whispered of hidden relationships and blacklisted collaborators. The actor's management agency released a brief denial, calling the accusations baseless and malicious. But their statement only fueled the fire. The public demanded answers. By evening, brands began to pull out. A luxury skincare company terminated their ambassador contract within hours. Streaming platforms quietly removed several of his works from their homepages. Co-stars deleted old photos. Silence spread, not of peace, but of fear. It was no longer just about Menglong. It was about the entire system surrounding him. When the first boycott petitions appeared online, the movement seemed spontaneous, fans expressing betrayal. But soon, the wave took a life of its own. Anonymous forums began to compile lists of connected artists, actors, producers, even music directors who had once worked with Menglong or his agency. 17 names surfaced. Some were instantly recognizable: award-winning performers, beloved singers, rising influencers. Each name carried a small note, linked by collaboration: former partner, appeared in the same project. None of it was confirmed. Yet the public's outrage needed no proof. Sponsorships evaporated overnight. Agencies panicked. One by one, accused issued desperate statements, distancing themselves from the star now deemed untouchable. But the crowd was unforgiving. In the eyes of the public, association meant guilt. The boycott wave became a social phenomenon, part vigilante justice, part witch hunt. Within a week, careers that had taken decades to build collapsed in silence. Among the first casualties was actress Li Zhu, Menglong's co-star in Echoes of Yesterday. She had nothing to do with this scandal. Her only crime was appearing in promotional photos beside him. Yet, as the storm grew, endorsement deals vanished, her fan clubs dissolved, and her next project was quietly shelved. Another victim, singer Chen Hao, had collaborated with Menglong on a charity campaign. The moment his name appeared on the list of 17, concerts were postponed indefinitely. And yet, the real shock came when insiders began to whisper that not all of this was coincidence. Every scandal has its architects, those who light the match and those who fan the flames. According to a confidential source within the Entertainment Bureau, certain documents were deliberately erased before the investigation began. Hard drives disappeared. Accounts were deleted. And employees who once worked closely with Menglong's management suddenly went silent or took leave. But who wanted Wumong Lung destroyed, and why now? An anonymous whistleblower, claiming to be a former staff member, wrote, "Isn't perfect, but he wasn't the monster they painted him to be. Someone wanted him gone, and they made sure the evidence pointed only one way." The post vanished within an hour. But not before screenshots spread across encrypted chatrooms. Perhaps the most haunting piece of this puzzle is the sudden disappearance of Wumong Lung's longtime manager, Han Zhen, the very man believed to hold the original evidence. Days before the scandal broke, Han Zhen reportedly tried to contact multiple journalists. His final message, leaked later, read, "Coming for me. If you don't hear from me tomorrow, it means they've succeeded." After that, silence. His phone was disconnected. His apartment emptied. Official statements claimed he had left the country. No flight records existed under his name. Without Han Zhen, the story lost its key witness. And the narrative, now shaped by those in power, became absolute. Newsrooms raced to keep up. Some published sensational headlines, others tried to remain neutral. But neutrality had no place in the chaos. Online mobs demanded punishment. Hashtags turned into digital weapons. And anyone defending Wumong Lung was accused of supporting corruption. A late-night anchor described it best. "This isn't just a scandal, it's a cleansing. The industry is being purged. But no one knows who's holding the broom." By week's end, the boycott had achieved what few imagined possible: 17 careers dismantled, hundreds of employees dismissed, and millions of dollars lost in suspended projects. Inside the studios, panic spread like an infection. Actors reviewed old interviews, terrified they might have said something too friendly about Wumong Lung. Directors instructed their PR teams to scrub archives, remove credits, erase traces. But the deeper the cleanup, the clearer one truth became: this was not just a fall from grace, it was an execution. A controlled demolition. Behind the smoke of morality and justice, someone had planned this collapse with chilling precision. The industry held its breath, waiting for the next headline. Haunting realization crept in: this was only the beginning. The days that followed felt like an endless twilight. The world had turned against Wumong Lung. The silence from his side grew louder with each passing hour. There were no news statements, no interviews, even a legal defense. Some believed he had fled. Others whispered he was preparing a final confession. Truth was stranger, darker, and far more orchestrated than anyone dared to imagine. Behind closed doors, negotiations were unfolding, not for justice, but for control. The agencies that had once praised Wumong Lung were now desperate to protect themselves. They needed a villain. Someone to absorb the collective outrage of the public, whose fall would feed the illusion that the system was clean. And so, one by one, the suspects were chosen. An assistant director was accused of leaking private footage. A publicist was blamed for forging contracts. Even a sound technician, who had worked on one of Wumong Lung's films years earlier, fired without cause. They were not guilty, they were convenient. Each scapegoat removed a layer of accountability from those truly responsible. Meanwhile, traces of the original evidence, the recordings Han Zhen had tried to share, began to vanish completely. Emails were deleted. Backups were overwritten. Legal teams refused to speak without supervision. The few journalists who persisted in searching for the truth received anonymous warnings. Some found their personal data leaked online, others were abruptly reassigned. A quiet terror settled over the industry, the kind that makes even the brave whisper instead of shout. And yet, even silence cannot stop what is already alive in the public's imagination. Rumors transformed into facts, hardened into history. The story was rewritten in real time, turning Wumong Lung from a promising star into a symbol of corruption. No one questioned who benefited from that transformation. One late evening, a former producer who had worked with Wumong Lung met a reporter in a dim cafe outside the city. The conversation was brief, but her words were unforgettable. "He was never the one in charge," she said. "He was the face they used. The deals, the laundering, the cover-ups, they belonged to people far above him. But when the wind changed, it is sacrifice. He was perfect, beautiful, and disposable." The reporter tried to follow that lead. But within 48 hours, the producer had disappeared. Her social media accounts were wiped clean. And her studio quietly released a statement that she had taken a sabbatical abroad. By now, the boycott movement had become a machine that no one could stop. Sponsors competed to show moral superiority. Networks edited entire scenes to erase faces associated with the scandal. Online mobs hunted for any celebrity who had once spoken kindly of Menglong. Fear ruled the industry more effectively than any law ever could. And in the middle of that storm, something unexpected happened. A private message surfaced on an encrypted forum. Allegedly from Han Zhen, the missing manager. The message contained fragments of data. Incomplete but revealing. It showed that the accusations against Menglong had been planted. Part of a larger plan to divert attention from an ongoing investigation into tax evasion and bribery within a major entertainment conglomerate. The company's name was redacted, but insiders recognized it immediately. The post was deleted within minutes. The account was banned, but it was enough. Screenshots circulated, and a small fraction of the public began to doubt the official story. Was the entire scandal a diversion? Had Menglong become the perfect decoy for someone else's sins? Soon, more cracks appeared. A junior legal clerk leaked internal memos showing that Menglong's termination contract had been drafted before the scandal broke publicly. Another file revealed that several of the boycotted artists had been negotiating to leave their agencies, a move that, if successful, would have cost powerful executives millions. Their downfall, it seemed, was profitable. As whispers turned into evidence, the narrative shifted again. A few brave journalists published pieces hinting at conspiracy. Articles didn't last long, within hours. Taken down for legal reasons, but by then, the question was already out in the open: who was truly guilty? Days later, an unverified video appeared online, a clip filmed on a hidden camera, showing a meeting between two high-ranking entertainment executives. In the footage, one voice could be heard clearly saying, "Erase him completely. Once he's gone, will follow. We need the industry clean before the audit." The clip was blurry, faces obscured, but the tone was unmistakable. Ruthless. Calculated. The video went viral, then disappeared, leaving behind only grainy re-uploads and thousands of comments screaming for justice. But justice never came. Instead, authorities issued a brief statement declaring that the footage was fabricated, and anyone sharing it would face consequences. Now, Menglong had become a ghost story, a cautionary tale whispered among actors and assistants in quiet hallways. His name was erased from databases. His face from posters. Projects that once bore his signature were re-edited. His roles replaced. His voice dubbed over by others. And yet, the audience could not forget. Every time a new scandal broke, face was mentioned, a reminder of how fast love could turn to hate, and how fragile reputation truly is. After morning, nearly 3 months after the chaos began, a sealed envelope arrived at a small independent newsroom. There was no return address, only a flash drive inside. The editor hesitated before opening it. What they found was shocking: video fragments, legal documents, voice messages, all matching the evidence Han Zhen had once promised to reveal. The files told a different story. Menglong had indeed uncovered corruption, not committed it. He had confronted his agency about embezzled funds and the exploitation of young trainees. When his manager tried to report the fraud, they were both silenced. The accusations that destroyed them were crafted to erase the whistleblowers, not the guilty. The newsroom tried to verify the material before they could publish. Their servers were hacked. The data was stolen, backups corrupted. It was as if the truth itself was forbidden to exist. Still, fragments escaped. Through screenshots, anonymous uploads, quiet whispers from people who had seen too much, the narrative began to fracture. Some fans returned, expressing regret. Others doubled down, unwilling to admit they had been deceived. The truth was no longer enough to save anyone, it came too late. After too much had already been lost. Final days of the frenzy. A letter surfaced on an anonymous message board, written in a tone too personal to be fake. It read, "I never wanted to be a hero or a victim. I only wanted to act. But when you stand against a system built on lies, stop being an artist, you become an example. They erased me, let them. One day the truth will speak, even if I can't." It was signed simply, V. No one knows if it truly came from him, but it was the last message ever associated with his name. Months later, a quiet documentary appeared online, independent, low budget, produced by a group of filmmakers who once admired him. It didn't accuse anyone, It didn't try to prove anything. It simply told the story of a man who rose from obscurity, reached greatness, and fell for reasons that had nothing to do with guilt. The film ended with a single quote on a black screen: "They erased the evidence, but not the memory." By the time the credits rolled, viewers across the world sat in silence. The boycott wave had passed. The industry had moved on. New faces had taken the spotlight. But beneath the glitter, something had changed forever. People no longer believed the headlines so easily. They questioned, hesitated, doubted. And in that quiet skepticism, that small spark of awareness, perhaps Wu Lung's legacy survived. Not as a scandal, but as a reminder that truth, no matter how buried, leaves echoes that power cannot silence. And the story of Wu Lung is no longer just the tale of one man's downfall. It is the mirror of an entire industry built on appearances, silence, and control. Scandal burned like a wildfire, devouring reputations and leaving ashes where stars once shone. But when the smoke cleared, something unexpected remained, a faint outline of truth. Fragile yet unbroken. Perhaps justice never came in courtrooms or press statements, but it found its way through the whispers of those who remembered. Wu Lung became more than a name, he became a question, a symbol, and a warning. His case forced a nation of spectators to see what fame hides, and to realize that sometimes innocence does not survive, it endures. The lights will fade, the headlines will move on, and new stars will rise. But behind every camera flash, there will always linger the shadow of one story, the story that proved how easily a life can be rewritten, and how dangerous truth can be when it threatens power. To those who still believe in integrity, who seek facts amid the noise, and who remember not just the scandal but the silence that followed, thank you. Your curiosity keeps stories like this alive. Doubt keeps power accountable. And your memory ensures that, no matter how deeply the truth is buried, it will never truly disappear. Thank you for reading, and for remembering.